We've got goodies. We've finally got the WRC grill through. I do love it when the postman brings good news rather than bills and whatnot. So yeah, we need to get that stuffed on the car at some point. Made up that's finally arrived. Just completes the front end. But however, this episode isn't about that. This is about me trying to turn all of this into a rotisserie rollover jig. Have I ever built one of these before? Nope. But am I going to try? I certainly bloody am. Now I could just go for the simple approach and basically copy this one, but that would be too easy. So I figured, why not make my own thing and just start from scratch, and yeah, rather than copying someone else's thing. So the plan of action is to build something like that. So we've got our main upright, that will have a tube welded to the top of it, which in turn will have another tube passing through the centre of it, which will then have a jig very much like this, which will bolt to the car, thus giving us the ability to roll the car over. And then on the bottom we'll have a straight bit of box section going that way, a straight bit of box section going out in towards the car, and then at some point I need to put casters on it as well so I can roll it around or whatever, and then obviously chuck a bit of bracing in just so this doesn't want to fall over and what have you. But yeah, once we've done that, we can then roll this car over and see the true extent of the rot on this thing. Now if you're new to the channel and wanting to watch a geezer build a rollover jig has brought you here, this is my RS2000. I bought this thing sight unseen off the internet, usual story, and it's turned out to be an absolute turd of a car. So we've already attacked a hell of a lot on this rust wise, but I need to get this thing rolled over so we can assess the bottom of it before I decide whether or not I'm going to tube chassis it, because there's a lot of money and time involved in doing a tube chassis on a car. So I need to see exactly what's going on with the bottom of this thing. So yeah, we've got all of this scrap metal down here, offcuts of random shapes and sizes, and hopefully we can make something out of all of this. And then we've got a bit of 2mm plate over here, which I'm going to make a circle with, loads of holes in it, and then we can put a pin through that to hold the car at various angles like my other car is currently. So yeah, stay tuned. Hopefully this won't end in tears with my car being on the floor where my rollover jig hasn't worked and it's just fallen over, but we shall see. Let's go on with it. Step one of the master plan then, folks. Now this upright bit I have already got done, and it's already been notched for the tube to sit in it, so I don't need to worry about that. That is 970 from the bottom of this piece to the centre of where the tube's going to lie, virtually. So what we need to do now is cut this piece to go across here. I'm making that 800 because I've got this one here and that only measures in at 850, and I've never had any issues with the car seeming like it wants to fall over as you're trying to tip it. So I think 800 is more than adequate for that. And then the bit going out towards the inside of the car, so the bit that comes from there and goes under the car, is going to be 750. Now I have got plans to have a tube going from this side to the other side, so it will hold the two jigs together basically, stop them wanting to fall apart. So we've got our bits of metal here, we'll measure them out, get the saw out from down there, and we'll get to cutting. there we have it. That is the first one tacked together. So obviously I made this bit here 750. That is accounting for the 50mm box that I've got on the end. So technically speaking, that bit there and this bit here overall are the same length now. And then obviously this bit here I've done at about 970, I think. But the idea I had in mind was to pop that on there like so, and then what I'll do is I'll do a gusset between the tube and the upright just to support that, so I don't want to tip in like that. And then we're on to a winner. But yeah, it's getting there, folks. Yeah, look at that. That is pretty good. So what I need to do is pop this back on the bench, fully weld it out, and then I'll get the other pieces on the bench. We'll tackle them together, and then we can start moving on to the next phase of this ridiculous idea that I've got. But yeah, quite happy with that so far. Now that hasn't come out half bad at all. It's fully penetrated. Not that I can show you up there because it's stupid dark, but that is fully penetrated and it don't look too shabby at all. Happy days. Right, next step is going to be getting that bit of tube up on there, and then what we need to do after that is mock up the next one. And then we're going to start chucking in some braces from the upright to the lower section where the legs are. And then that should stop any sort of movement, hopefully. So let's clean up that bit of tube there, plonk it on the top, square it all up, and then we'll set about welding it in.
Afraid to turn out the lights? Is there something you're scared of? What's there out in the dark? Make sure to keep all your windows locked. Do you surrender? You try to stay awake. These walls you can't escape. Here's one for the lonely hearts, for the ones that fear the dark. You better.
Look at that. That is that one virtually done, with the exception of putting braces in down here and then down here on the front, and then a little one just underneath this tube. We're virtually there with this side. It's actually gone really well. The welds, I'm not the neatest welder in the world, but I'm actually pretty happy with them. They actually look quite good, to be fair. So yeah, happy days. Now for anyone interested, this is 50 by 50 with a 2mm thick wall box section for the most part, and then this is a 50mm tube again with a 2mm wall. So for anyone wanting to build one of these, that is what I'm using. The bracing parts I will probably go down to something like a 40 by 40, and then same again up there, but I'm just going to do 45s up there, down there, and then another 45 down there, and then that should triangulate everything and hopefully make that as strong as it can be. So happy days. Right, coffee break for me, and then we're going to move that aside because it's dead hot at the moment, and then we'll gather up all those pieces, start tacking them together on the bench and weld them out.
Run out of here. Bet you can look the other way. Here's one for the broken road. That's the only one you know. You better run out, truth or dare. Get me out, take me anywhere but here. Oh, anywhere but here. Wanting something good to come, waiting for things to run away from. Are you just hiding? Here's one for the lonely hearts, for the ones that fear the dark. You better run out of here. Bet you can't look the other way. Here's one for the broken road.
Well, that is the initial framework done then, folks. We're pretty much there. Need to clean off all the mill scale on these bits of metal properly, because I didn't quite clean one of them up properly and it started spluttering about a little bit, which is a bit of a bugger. But we are there, and to be fair, most of the welds don't actually look too bad, so that's happy days. Just to show you what I was on about earlier, what we're going to do is basically chuck a slightly smaller diameter pipe through that main pipe, and then the plan is I'm going to drill a couple of holes in this main tube, weld a couple of nuts to that, and then we will bolt through that to pinch on this pipe, which will then stop it wanting to turn and yada yada yada. But what we're also going to do is cut a big 6-inch diameter round plate, and then we're going to drill multiple holes around that plate, so when we put a bolt on the side of here, we can then push it through one of said many multiple holes, which will also work towards helping that stay in the position that you want your car in, whether that be 90 degree, 45 degree, blah blah blah. But that is a little bit later down the line. What we need to do tomorrow, because it is getting on a bit now and I don't like welding in the workshop too late, is we're going to put a brace in from here to here, just to stop that wanting to twist and whatnot. And then we're going to chuck in a couple of diagonals on here, so we'll go from this main upright to here, again from there to there, and the same again on that side, and do all the same again on that other one. And we will be using some 40 by 40 with a 2mm wall, so that'll be plenty strong enough for that. It'll triangulate everything down there and job is good. So yeah, stay tuned. I'll pick you guys back up tomorrow when we're ready to crack on with that, and then it'll just be a case of making something to fix from that to the car, and then it'll be the moment of truth, and hopefully my car won't fall over. Right, speak to you guys tomorrow. That is the bracing all done and cut out. Now this little parkside saw thing, whatever you want to call it, is absolutely brilliant. Cannot fault it, apart from when you need to try and cut a 45 on one of them and it doesn't quite like it, so we had to bust out the big guns. Thankfully I bought this a couple of years ago to use for actually building my welding table, so that's quite handy. But we're there, we're all cut out, we're all ready to go now. As you'll notice, the piece I've got from the main upright to the piece that's going to go underneath the car, I have cut quite a bit shorter. Now that is because I'm worried that when I go to spin the car, if I had a longer piece in, the car might hit it. So I've made that quite a bit shorter. It'll still brace it, it'll still hold it, so that's fine and dandy. But yeah, that's all of that. And then we've got a couple of smaller pieces. I do still need to notch these ever so slightly to fit around the tube a bit better. But that will go up in there like that, and then that will brace that tube. So everything's going to be braced, everything's going to be supported in some way, shape or form. What we need to do now is fire up the welder, tackle that in place, and then fully weld it in place, and then we're good to go. Move on to the next phase. But what I've also done is I went to Home Base earlier and bought one of these like furniture dolly things, because it actually worked out cheaper to buy one of these built like this than buying 4 separate caster wheels. So I could only buy the one because I only had one in stock today, but I'll go back tomorrow and get another one, and then I should have all the wheels that I need to get this thing rolling. So weld up, let's get cracking. That's the frames fully braced out now, then fully welded and all that stuff. So they're pretty much done at this point, with the exception of welding on a couple of nuts to the top and then some sort of latch mechanism, if you like, for one of these. And then of course putting the wheels on, which are down there. But for the most part, that is done. What we need to work on now is that support bar that goes up there. So there's a tube that's welded to that, which goes through and into that tube. So we need a tube coming out of there, a big bar going across, which I'm gonna probably do at about 1.2 meters, just so it's more or less the width of the car. And then from that, we will then work off to get onto the car. So that is the plan. Let me just go and get some metal drawn out across the table, and then I'll show you exactly what I mean, because that might not have made any sense whatsoever. So let's get my box section down on the bench, we'll mark it all out, cut some of that to length, and then I'll pick you back up when I'm ready to show you what I'm on about. Alrighty then, we have got some bits cut out, folks. Those are my 2 bits of 40 by 40 box section that I've cut to 1200mm. I've marked 600 centres because I need to drill a hole through here, which will then have that pass through at some point. What we need to do is weld those 2 bits to the bigger red bits. The reason being is that I can't hole saw the red bit through the 40 by 40 because there'll literally be no meat left on the 40 by 40. So we'll drill a smaller hole, we'll weld these 2 bits to the red bits, pass them through, weld the underside, and then also weld round the red bit to this as well. So it'll be fully welded both sides, and that'll be fully secure into the other tube. So that's my thinking. Hopefully that will work. In my head that's going to work perfectly fine, but we shall see. So I'll get my little pillar drill thing made up on here, we'll get everything sorted out, and then we'll start drilling some holes and then start welding some stuff together. Well, I'm going to go as far as saying that has come out pretty bloody spot on. Happy with that. However, the next one isn't going to be as plain sailing. As I explained earlier, I need to make a big circle with multiple holes all the way around it. So once I fix a pin to here, I've got somewhere for that pin to slot in and hold this in whatever angle I've desired at that given moment in time. So, what we need to do is head back to the bench, and I think we've got some, it's either 2 or 3 mil galv still. It's not ideal, but I'm trying to do this thing on the cheap, and that is free, so we might as well use it. So yeah, as I explained earlier, we need to do a big 6-inch circle, 30 mil hole through the centre so it slots over our bit of pipe, and then multiple holes all the way around it for the pin to go through. And then we shall weld it to this, slide it through there, weld it to that as well, and again weld the back end where this protrudes past. So all in all, it's going pretty well, and so far it's cost me absolutely sod all other than, well, MIG wire and a bit of gas. So happy days so far. Right, I'm gonna have a quick coffee break because I feel like I deserve one, and I'll pick you guys back up in a minute. Well, that probably took a couple of minutes at most for you guys, but for me that took an absolute lifetime. It's actually quite difficult trying to cut a circle out of steel and then shaping it and then drilling it and blah blah blah. So that is done. All the holes are drilled. I have left myself scope for drilling extras should I need to in the future. So that is that. What I've also done is drilled a couple of extra holes in the box section, because obviously when you lay this over that, like so, 2 of the holes would have been covered up by the box. So I've drilled them out, so that's all happy days. So now what we need to do is pop that bit through there, like that. So now that's in there, what we need to do is weld the tube to the plate to the box, and then we need to weld the underside of the tube to the box as well. And then in theory that should be decently strong then, and hopefully we shouldn't have any issues. So let's put you back on the tripod. We'll bust the welder back out, weld all this together, and then we can move on to the next bit, fixing the car to it. That was my first time welding galv, and I was completely unaware that it's not very nice to weld. These bits come out alright because I tuned in my settings a little bit, but when I started on the tube, I mean look at the state of that. I ended up having to lay a huge slug of a weld around that bad boy. But like I say, once I tuned in my settings, the rest of it all went pretty well. But the amount of white powder that's come off of that is absolutely everywhere. Probably a bit toxic though, really, isn't it? I should have worn a mask, really. Oh, right, let's go and put this in the car. And what I meant by car was jig. Look at that. Happy, happy days. So like I say, I need to put something on the side here to then have a pin to go through and through into them holes. So I'll have to work on that at some point. Also need to weld the nuts on there to put some pinch bolts through. But yeah man, that's looking pretty good. Pretty stoked with that, to be honest. So yeah, we'll get onto that next. We'll sort them out, sort the mount out for the pin or bolt, which is what I'm going to use. And then we'll move on to making the structure that will go from this to the car. But that is a job for another day because it's super late and I'm going to go home. So I'll pick you guys up next time back down there. Okay then folks, so next on the agenda is going to be making my sort of locking mechanism, if you like, which is going to consist of one of those going on there. Obviously where I'll put that little mark there, that will be a hole for a bolt to go through, so that one will go there, and then we've got another one to go on there. So we'll go over to the bench, we'll start cutting this out. I've got some like 2 or 3 mil plate I think to cut these out of, so it should be sturdy enough. So yeah, let's get over to the bench, cut them out, and then we'll get them welded on, and then we'll move on to the next phase. Right, we're fully there then folks. John has just come in and scared the absolute living daylights out of me whilst I was trying to film something. So I've just had to have a little break to get my bloody heart rate down again. So this is all fully done. I've now put a brace on here as well, just to stop these wanting to splay apart. Not that I think they would have anyway. And then as you can see, managed to get both my bolts in the top and not very well lined up. But that is just there to serve a purpose and pinch this pipe, so I'm not really fussed about the looks. Another bolt through here just to stop this wanting to go through that way and fall out. And then with this bit here, as you can see, just wind it up, get it through the hole, and then that also just stops it from wanting to turn over on its own if these aren't fully clamped down. So yeah, next step is going to be welding these caster wheels on so we can move this thing around easily. So I've got one for each end. We'll get all them welded in, and then we can move on to finally making the structure that's going to bolt to the car. And there we have it, 2 fully movable rollover jig ends. Look at that. I'll knock the other side out off camera. I didn't see the point in showing you me welding all that up. But what I have done also off camera is just welded in a couple of nuts on each leg, just so when I've got the steel tube going in there to join the two together, I can pinch it tight and then I know they're not going to separate. Welded a nut on here with a bolt in it, again to stop this wanting to turn around, and put a nut and bolt through there to stop it wanting to fall out. But that is as far as we can go with that for now, because the next step is going to be making the jig ends that go on that and attach to the car. But what I want to do is get this grille fitted in the car first, because once I've got that bumper off and a bit of framework attached to the car, I'm not going to be able to get the bumper back on and see how all this looks. So what we need to do is get that in there. However, we need to do some trimming. So we need to trim the bumper on each end there and there, and we're probably going to have to take out a bit of the actual car slam panel there as well, just so that this can nestle right down and go where it needs to go. So let's get some tools out, we'll start trimming that down, and then once we've done that, we can then move on to making the frame to attach this to that, and hopefully get this car off the table, flip it over and see what other rust we've got underneath it. I'm dreading it, absolutely dreading it. Right, let's get some tools on the go. Oh yes folks, look at that. Happy days. Anyone that says they don't like WRC front end has got to be lying, surely. That to me is absolutely bellissimo. So yeah, obviously I needed to cut out all the slam panel. One, because it was in the way of the grille, but two, it actually blocked up all of this air scoop bit here anyway. So that's now completely gone. On a Mark V front wheel drive Escort, you have a piece of metal in behind here that comes down to about here. That's always a telltale sign that you've got a rep, because on the actual Cosy there's nothing there. So if you're doing a Cosy rep, cut that bloody bit out, because it drives me nuts when I see a Cosy rep with that bit still in. But yeah, that is that. Absolutely made up with that. And yes, I know I didn't wear a mask again because I'm an idiot. But if anyone's cutting up fiberglass, don't be stupid like me. Wear a mask, because it's not good for you. So that's something I need to practice myself. But right, leave it with me. I'm going to take all this back off, and then what we're going to do is start making the structure to go from that to the rotisserie, which is going to be using some of this 2mm plate I have here. I'm going to go off the mounting point here and here, and then we'll yeah, I'll show you what I'm on about when we get there. So give me a minute, I'll peel all this off. And just like that, it's back to looking sorry for itself again. Oh no. Right, what's the plan of attack then? So we've got some plate down here. This is about 3mm thick. So what we're going to do is cut a section out to go in here and protrude over slightly. Same again that side, and we'll bolt that in place. And then what we'll do is cut a bit of this to go between the two ends. And then that will fully brace the front of the car together, and then we'll weld another bit of 40x40 off the side of this, aiming upwards, which will then attach to the jig. And it's going to be very much the same deal for the back as well. So we'll make a couple of plates for the back, put a brace across, just like so, and then that way all we've got to do is run a couple of chutes upwards off of that to pick up on the jig. So yeah, right, let's measure some stuff out, we'll get some cutting done and weld some stuff together again. It's looking like we've got some sort of funky off-road safari bull bar thing going on at the moment. But that is the front part of the jig officially done on the car side of things. What I have just been doing off camera, because these were a bit tedious and I didn't really need to show you this, I've made these little adapter pieces. So this goes on here like so, a couple of bolts in that one to act as pinch bolts, and then this piece is obviously going on the horizontal, which will pick up on that side, which is down there somewhere, and then again pinch them up, and then this in theory is completely height adjustable and side to side adjustable, so we should be able to get the pivot absolutely perfect. But that is now done for the front, so what we need to do is move on to the back. So I have already been ahead and cut out some plates, got them bolted to the car. This side I can't do a bar straight across like I did on the other side, because I need to come out a little bit. So plan of action is to cut off maybe 3 inches or so of box, weld that to the plate, and then weld a bar to the end of that, go straight across, pick up on the other side, and then we'll have some uprights on that as well, so we can do the same deal as what we've done on the front and make everything quite adjustable. And then they will obviously go straight on them, and we should be good. So hopefully we should be able to get the pivot absolutely spot on and stop it being top or bottom heavy. That's the plan at least. Hopefully it'll work out. It was a bit of a challenge trying to get the other car to pivot right, but yeah, that is that. But it is now super late, it's super cold, so I'm going to put you guys down for tonight, and I'll pick you back up tomorrow when I'm ready to crack on and get the back bit done. bar on there, folks, and it hasn't fallen off. I'm made up with that. It is so solid, so solid. But I won't lie to you, I was nervous as you like putting this on there. I mean, I was nervous when I put this car on this rotisserie, but knowing that I'd built this one, a whole new level of nervousness. I won't lie. But for anyone that's interested and wants to know, this whole setup here that I've made has cost me about £120, just for like nuts and bolts and the odd bit of box section, and obviously the wheels. The wheels were actually the most expensive bit, but I even managed to get them on a discount because I bought one of those furniture moving dolly things from Homebase. So if you need wheels for something like this, it's cheaper to buy 2 of them than it is to buy 6 wheels by about 30 quid. So that's a saving there as well. But if you need to build one of these, go down to your local scrapyard like I did, ask them what they've got, and you might be able to get a deal. No harm in trying. But yeah, like I say, £120 and we're done. And I am made up. Hopefully this video has gone some way into helping someone that might be wanting to do this themselves. Hopefully it's been insightful. I don't know, you have to let me know in the comments, but yeah, I'm happy with that. Happy as Larry. So yeah, that is going to be it for this one, folks, I'm afraid. Hopefully you guys will join me for the next video where we're going to turn this thing over on its side and see what the underside's like. I'm praying that it's going to be decent, because getting involved in a tube chassis on this is not only time consuming, but it's very, very costly as well. And time and money is something I don't have an abundance of, so yeah, let's hope for the best for this. And then hopefully we can get that rear end squared in there and make a start on the rear wheel drive conversion shortly. But yeah, like I say, that is going to be it for this one, folks. So like, comment, subscribe, stay tuned for more, and I shall see you on the next one. Peace.